या देवी सर्वभूतेषु मातृरूपेण संस्थिता नमस्तस्यै नमस्तस्यै
Thank you. come here for me alone to get blessing, for the judgment alone to get blessing. All of you want blessing, not for me. That is the purpose of coming here.
Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, bolo. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, bolo. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, bolo. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Very beautifully, my dear friends, as we clasp hands, close eyes, and we join our hands together as we sing opening door. Nirguna Brahma Vilakshaka Jayami Sukhakan Ojai ki Maya Payu Jag Bhavapalan Layamu Swambhu Swayambhu Jajan Subal Pavat Gaurav Tinko Madhav Ravi Ganadin Shivayut Dhyan Jo Nij Jan Ke Agh Sakal Chin Mein Det Baha Mat Pita Guru Bharati Ved Vyas Muni Prem Sahit Kar Jod Kar Savahi Navonshi Sat Sanhit Sahit Sri Shiv Puran Sukhdam Bhukti Mukti Dayak Sugam Bhaktan Jeevan Pran Kashi Palak Shiv Sumire Girija Ganapati Vyam Shubh Vedeshwar Samhita Tika Likat Banaya Umapati Mahadev Ki Jai Sharanam Sri Ganeshaya Namaha Atha Brahma Vidyeshwar Samhita Prayabhita Adyantamangalam Ajata Samana Bhavamadyam Kamisham Jaram Jaramatmadevam Panchananam Darpada Panchavinodashilam Sambhavayamani Se Shankaram Ambikesham Vyasuvacha Dharma Kshetre Mahakshetre Ganga Kalindi Sangame Prayage Parame Punyam Brahma Lokasya Vartmani Muniha Shastatmanya Sastata Vrataparayana Mahojaus Mahabhaga Mahasatre Venine Om Namah Shivaya. Adyanta Mangalam. I bow to Lord Shiva, who is without beginning and end. Ajar, Ajar, Amar, he who is eternal and unending in this world. Mangala Sheelam, giver of all auspiciousness. Shankaram Ambikesham. I bow to that Lord who is always adorned by Ambika, Vyasuvacha. The great Vyasmuni says, Dharma Kshetre Mahakshetre Ganga Kalindi Sangame. In that most wonderful place that is called Kalindi Sangame, the meeting of the Ganga, the Yamuna and the Saraswati, that holy place known as Prayag, or the confluence of where the three meet, Prayage, Parame Punya Brahmalokas Pavartmani, that by seating oneself there and doing katha or listening, Parame Punya, the highest of merit is given to one. Brahmalokasya Vardmani. It is possible for one to attain the world of Brahma through listening to the katha that is revealed in this most sacred place. Muniha Shastatmanya Stvat Bratpadayanaha. That all of the great sages and saints, just as we are seated here, my dear friends, they sat in that most glorious spot that is called Prayag, where the meeting of the Ganga, the Yamuna and the Saraswati is. And what did they do there, my dear friends? Moha Jausa, Maha Jausa, Mahabhaga, Mahasantre Vinenre. In that place called Triveni, they of course began to unfold the glories of Lord Shiva. Bhagwan, who does not have any beginning, any end, that Lord who it is most difficult to comprehend in one lifetime. Vyasa Shishe Mahamuni, उस यज्ञ को श्रवण करके वहाँ पुराण जाने वाले लोग श्रेष्ठ सुच्ची उस स्थान में आकर प्राप्त हुए हैं. That Vyas Muni Shishya, the Balak, the godson of Vyas Muni, by the name of Sri Sutta Maharaj, he once again sits there. Ai dekhe Muni bade prasnan hua, aur prasna chitta hai unki vidhi purvak puja karne lage. That when the Munis saw him walking into their midst, my dear friends, they became so happy. It is like when we see a relative or we see someone who brings joy to our hearts when they come in our company, how we feel that extreme joy. He says when the saints and the sages saw the great Sutta walking into their fold, they became ati prasna, very vidhi purvak pujan karne lage. And following all the tenets of pujan and vidhi and the sacred offerings, they honored and worship just as they honor us as Pundits. And they honor myself as a Vyasa and the Uprohits that are seated here. So too the great sages perform puja. तब विनय से संयुक्त हो वहाँ मुनिजन हाथ जोड़कर करने लगे और प्रसन्न हुए उन महात्मा की विधि पूर्वक पूजन करने लगे. They put their hands together. And that is the love. That is why you put your hands together, my dear friend. Hath jod bid. When you put your hands together, it awakens the devotion and it shows the bhakti that is inside of your heart. That if you don't have devotion, my dear friends, not only to God, to anything that you do, you will never become successful. You would never be successful. Bhagavan Krishna says so in the Gita, that whatever action that you have to perform, you perform it with the greatest of devotion and love. Even that which you don't like, but if you do it out of the great love that bears in your heart. Sometimes we have to do something and say, oh God, again. No. That is half of the trouble you create for yourself there. So he says, heart to jod, that putting their hands, and you could have seen the love flowing out of their hearts. Yeah, they sit, हे सर्वज्ञ रोमहर्षण, आप भाग्य के गौरव से व्यास जी से संपूर्ण पुराण विद्या को अर्थ सहित जान चुके हो. That, O son, O disciple, noble disciple Romaharshan of Vyasji, fortunate you are, for you have the knowledge of the Puranas by the grace of your Guru. That is yet another important thing for us, my dear friends. In one of the kathas you will hear when he begins to explain about the greatness of the lingams, who exactly the Guru is. So they are telling him that your good fortune, bhagya se, that is what each and every one of us have, my dear friends. That is how we are fortunate to occupy this birth. If you do not have bhagya, you do not have that fortune, you cannot get this human birth. That is very difficult. Ramayana tells you that, Bhare bhagya manushitanapa, that to get this human birth is very, very difficult. Dharma, artha, kama, moksha, purushartha se. That to get dharam, to perform dharam for the sake of earth, for the sake of pleasures, calm, to enjoy desires. But we forget the fourth one. Dharam and earth goes together, and calm and moksha. Dharam, yes, we live a religious and a righteous life. We follow the tenets of truth. Remember last night I was explaining to you that which is called Sat and that which is called Asat. Truth, my dear friends, and that which is called untruth. That we follow that. The Dharam, Artha, that when we live a noble and a pious life, and we earn according to that the means which are moral, we get earth, we get all of the wealth, and calm, the desires that we possess are fulfilled. But the last of them, my dear friends, which is the true purpose of this birth, moksha is the last of them. And because it is the last, it is not the least important, it is the most important. When you count in, right? If you start from 1 and you count from 1 to 10, which is the biggest number? If you start 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, which is the largest number? 10 or 1? Don't tell me nobody can count it, huh? Yes, 10, eh? So, moksha of course becomes the most important. That is what this is given for. Ratno ke Stan Sagar. So very beautifully, last night of course we read Katha of where they sat and they started of course to question the great Sut Maharaj. And this evening once again, beautifully put together, Sutavacha, Hare Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Trayambakam Yajamahe, Sugandhim Pushti Vardanam, Urvarukame Vandanam, Mrityormokshe Yamamrita. Together, my dear friend. Trayambakam Yajamahe, Sugandhim Pushti Vardanam, Urvarukame Vandanam, Mrityormokshe Yamamrita. Om Namah Shivaya. Sutavacha, Srinvavantu Rishye Sarvasritma Shivam Manayayam, Puranam Pravanam Shaiva Puranam Vedasarajam, Yatra Geetam Kriyantam Pritya Bhakti Jnana Vairagyatam, Vedanta Vedyanta Siddhastu Vishesha Pravarnitam. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Prabhu, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Suji bole, Sampurna Rishi, that O ऋषिज सुनो मैं अनामय शिव जी प्रणाम कर वेदों के साथ पुराणों से शिवान करते हुए that all of the great Vedas and the Shastras have said जिसमें प्रीति भक्ति ज्ञान और वैज्ञान वर्णन किया है that wherever it is listened to with the utmost of devotion, प्रीति my dear friends means the love in your heart, with the utmost of devotion, no day bhakti. Bhakti, of course, is the devotion. Gyan. Last night I was explaining to you what is called Gyan Chakshu. Gyan, knowledge of Bhagwan. And Vairagya. Vairagya means to do what? Vairagya means to begin to detach. If you look at the English book, you will see the word dispassion. But it means to detach. That when you enjoy everything of the world, and you possess, but as you grow older, my dear friends, when you get to Banapras, and sannyasi, you're not supposed to hold on, you're supposed to begin to detach. Little by little, you have to start to break the bonds of this world. You have to start to think less about the things of this world and more about God. We're supposed to do that. I use the term suppose. But we're supposed to do that. As the older we get, and some of us not even older, but every moment that we have and we get the opportunity to indulge ourselves in worshipping Bhagwan, that develops inside of us something called Vairagya. Vairagya means dispassion. So he says that fortunate that those who have the opportunity and they listen with preeti, with devotion, these three foremost amongst the qualities that are required to worship Bhagwan, embodies and enshrines itself in the heart of the devotees. Hey Parampita, that all great sages that listen very, very beautifully. इस कानों में उनके गुण सुनते बानी कीर्तन करते हैं. That Bhagwan talks of three qualities. That which is called Shravan, that which is called Manan, and that which is called Kirtan. Shravan means to listen. There is a difference between listening and hearing. Big difference. Do you listen to someone or do you hear them? If I ask you the question now, are you listening to me or are you hearing me? Greta says she listening. I saw somebody will say they're hearing. Listen, my dear friends, is when it revolves within our minds. That is what is listening. Contemplating upon what is being said to you. Hearing is when it goes out and it comes out on the other side. So Shravan is the first attribute that a devotee must possess. They must be able to listen. Kirtan means to sing. Dam 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 du bajai, Shiva Shankar Kailashpati, Yuga Yuga Soya Jiva Jagai, Shiva Shankar Kailashpati. Bol Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Bol Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Dam 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 du bajai, Shiva Shankar Kailashpati, Yuga Yuga Soya Jiva Jagai, Shiva Shankar Kailashpati. Everyone, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Ek baar bolo Sri Umapati Mahadev ki jai. When you sing the name of the Lord, and if you close your eyes, you're supposed to visualize the Lord. That is how you know, of course, that the bhakti begins to grow. So he says, Shravan is the, aur man se unka manan karna yahi. And when you listen, and the mind contemplates upon what you are listening to, and it begins to, of course, ponder or reflect on what is said, that is called manan. Anybody here never had worries? When you're worried about something, if you had to pay loan at the end of the month and you have enough money, and you sit down and study where you get any money from, and you don't borrow from all your family. Worries, manan, it rotates in the mind. The action is called manan because it is rotating. It is spinning again and again within our minds. But what is spinning? The more you churn, the sweeter that what comes out. But what do you churn? You churn the worries of the world. Yes, it is important to have and to think about the things that we have to do and think about the things that we have to achieve. But you know, Bhagavan says in our scriptures, we have the tendency to think about what the Lord has made. But if we think of the Lord who has made it, so we think about the maker and not the man who make it. And if you think about the man who make it, he will ensure that you have everything. Not so, my dear friends? But we think about everything that he make instead of thinking about he. So when you look at a picture like this painting, you say, oh, watch how pretty this painting is. Who painted it? But the painting getting all the praise, but the man who had the talent and painted, he ain't getting no praise. So to God, Bhagavan create everything. He create you and I. He create the attraction that you and I have for each other. He create the Kal. This evening I was reading that which is called Kala Chakra. Bhagavan is called Kala Chakra. There is also a Dan that we do called Kala Dan, Kala Chakra Dan. At the end of time, the souls, Bhagavan merges them, that when our Jeev moves to such a state that it comes to the Kala Chakra, Bhagavan merges the two, Shiv Bhagavan merges the two. So we think of everything, my dear friends, but we do not entertain the thought of God. And if we entertain the thought of God, we will acquire everything that we want. Not so? God makes everything possible. Bhagavan is the one who gives everything. Last time my father sang a bhajan. Dene wale de. He is the dene wale. That is why he was pretty. Because he is the one that gives you everything. The problem is, we do not have the faith. The faith is lacking sometimes. We do not believe in ourselves that we can achieve it, and because of that, we have worry of it. So he says, Manan. But if the mind is to ponder and reflect upon that Lord, and just as we churn the mind to obtain solutions to whatever we want to do, if we churn the mind on the glories of Bhagwan and on the katha of the Lord and the name of the Lord, that which surfaces is the Lord himself. So he says, Maheshwar Shravan Kirtan or Manan Karna Chahiye. That one who is able to do such, that person is indeed blessed. And these are the three qualities that he says a devotee must have when they have to, of course, sit and listen to the katha of Bhagwan. Satsanganameka bhavati shravanam pudastatyat sankirtam pashupatye tadri sandyat. And how do you get those qualities, my dear friends? Last night I sang a very beautiful chaupai for you. Binu satsanga vivek na hoi Ram kripa bin solabh na soi. Bolo Jai Ram Sri Ram Jai Jai Ram Sri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Sri Ram Jai Ram. Binu satsang, and it is the same thought. Satsanga gamena bhavati shravan. That until you do not find yourself where satsang is and in the company of the saints, the sages, the pious, the noble ones, that cannot, the thought of God, realization and the thought of Bhagwan cannot awaken in you. It is by being in the company, that is what he is saying, that the first quality, that Shravan Matate Jagat Prasiddham, that for one moment, if you come into the company, that is why it is important to come to Mandir, my dear friends, and to come to congregational worship. Not so? If you go to do something and you are alone, stand up in a line, how you just feel? Everybody watching you and say, oh God, I wonder if I'm in the right line.